Hey guys, it's Dave. So I came across a chart in a video that I will link in the description below so that you can check it out as well. But it was kind of an alarming chart that showed that the debt to income ratio has approached, actually exceeded what it was back in 2007, just before we had the big financial crisis. And so I kind of wanted to share that with you so you can take a look at it as well. And then I wanted to pick it apart a little bit. You can see that 2007, the debt to income ratio, according to Fannie Mae, was at 39. If you can see that here. This is 39% right in there. And then it has now, according to their latest information, exceeded that at a 39.5 over here. So what a debt to income ratio is, in case you don't know, is the ratio between what your mortgage payment is and your income. They actually measure two separate types of debt to income ratio. They measure the front end and the back end, which the front end is just your payment, interest, taxes, insurance, maybe HOA. If you're a lender, comment below and let me know if HOA is included on the front end debt to income ratio. And then your back end ratio includes like your credit card payments, your car payments, your student loans, any revolving debt. It does not include groceries, utilities, childcare expenses, other things like that. But Fannie Mae kind of cuts people off at 43% ratio between your mortgage payment and your gross monthly income. You usually don't get qualified for a loan if that percentage is higher than 43%. So getting to 39.5 is getting up to, if that's their average, then we're pushing limits. Obviously, this is being pushed by interest rates spiking in this upward trend. You can see that's kind of where the information is coming from. The issue here is I'm not sure if this chart includes the back end ratio or if this is just for mortgages. There are three things that would go into changing that. And in this video, they're arguing that home prices are going to come down because they have to, because the affordability is becoming too bad. So, home prices coming down would obviously lower that debt to income ratio, but so would a lowering of interest rates or a raising of your gross monthly income. Now, it sounds bad, but the government, the Federal Reserve, does not want wages to go up. Wages going up means inflation continues to go up. If people have more money, then they spend more money and prices will continue to go. It would be great in La La Land if we all got a raise, but companies didn't raise their prices in order to compensate for the less money that they're making because they're making their employees make more. They don't do that. If they give you a raise, they raise their prices and we end up with a wage price spiral. So what I'm hoping is that this includes the back end debt to income ratio. If it doesn't, then we have some other concerns, because what I'm seeing is things like this that concern me. This is the total outstanding credit card balance from 1999 to present. You can see we got a little high here before the great financial crisis, and then we started to pay our credit down. Then we got a little high again just before COVID. Here is our COVID plunge. Thank you for stimulus checks. But now we're actually back up higher than before, anytime before COVID. This is almost $1 trillion of revolving credit card debt. In that same time, is this the same chart? Here's this next chart. The amount of interest that we're paying on that, the interest rate, obviously has skyrocketed here while the Fed has raised interest rates at a record pace over the last year. We had kind of a little bubble up and then down for COVID, and then now, the sky seems to be the limit. So this is the most concerning to me, is that we've got record high number of credit card debt. And this chart goes back to 1995. And so we're paying higher interest rates on that credit card debt than, many people have in their lifetime. Also at the same time, we've got the average car payment increase. This is like 570 or so average car payment for new cars. Used car payments over $420 a month for the average used car payment, and you can see the trend going back to 2015 on that. And here is the interest rate that we're paying on new car loan originations, skyrocketing as the Fed has increased their rates. So has rates along everything. Mortgages, car payments are no exception to that. Credit cards. I follow this guy, car dealership guy on Twitter. He is really good at anything involving new and used cars. Really good insight. I look at this because I'm looking for signs in the overall macro economy that are going to affect real estate. I'm a realtor. I do real estate. I invest in real estate. But there's other things that I've seen, especially going through the last Great Recession, macroeconomic things that can affect the price of real estate, the affordability of real estate. And I want to see things before they get here. I kind of want to see down the road. And so looking at consumer credit debt and looking at car interest rates and the issues that are happening in cars, just the overall health of the consumer is going to impact real estate. So I'm researching it and following it. This guy tweeted out that $1,000 monthly payments aren't going anywhere, and that in Q1 of this year, 16.8% of consumers who financed a new car have a car payment of over $1,000. So that is alarming to me. And maybe it's just because I'm old. I mean, my first car payment, I think, was like $107. And so like to see $1,000 car payments, knowing that I, have a couple of mortgage payments that are in that ballpark, is really alarming. So I'm not saying that housing is not going to crash, that we're not going, that things aren't going to be bad. I just don't see it coming from housing. I see it coming from other sources. I don't think that this time is like last time because people aren't in the same financial situation in their home. They may be stressing now with credit card payments, with auto loan payments, but the majority of Americans got in at a 3% interest rate on their home, and they've got a ton of equity. Here's a chart that only goes to 2020, the year 2020. I couldn't find anything that was a good looking chart that would be easy to understand. This is the amount of equity that homeowners have. We rise up. This is actually a 2005 peak. Think about that, because we didn't really have a crash until like 2008. So why is people losing their home equity? It's because people were buying with no money down. So the average overall amount of equity, people were getting into homes in 2006, 2007, 2008 for no money down. The amount of equity is shrinking. And then, of course, you have the pricing crashes for 8, 9, 10, and we bottomed here, the overall equity in America in 2011. And then we've just been building equity ever since. And if this chart went to 2023, it would be continuing to go higher. The reason I bring that up is because if things get rough, people still have a lot of value in their home. They're not going to fire sale it or just walk away from it like they did in 2008, 2009. I had people, it didn't cost them anything to get into the house. So there was no reason for them to stay when they got behind on their mortgage. They were getting nothing out of it. The only reason they would stay is to have a place over their head that was free until the lender kicked them out. But we also have credit scores that are way better than they were the last time around. So let me hide my head here so that you can see this chart. This is the overall credit score by year, the percentage that it was of loan originations. Now this bottom this bottom one here, let's see. Well, I'm gonna need my pen. This dark blue, I don't know what color it's showing up on my monitor. It's showing a little bit different. My iPad is better. This small little percentage down here, that's the credit score of 620. And then the orange line here, that's up to a 659. Let's call it a 660 credit score. So this percentage here back in 2004, 2005, and all the way up to 2008 was a pretty significant chunk, and it's almost non-existent over here in 2022. And in fact, for a long time here, 660 or below is not getting you a home. Look at this big, huge, I can turn myself back on now. Look at this big, huge area of here. This is 760 plus. So a big, huge portion of people that are getting into homes over the through the pandemic, they have good credit. They're not going to want to risk that on their housing. So I just don't know what the catalyst is going to be if we are going to have a housing crash. What is going to cause it? It has to be a large amount of supply with no demand. If we end up with people losing jobs, yes, people will have to be forced to sell their house. They may do so quickly while their value is still pretty high. They might think this Zestimate has never been this high and my prospects for getting a job might take a while. Let's get out and go for, relocate to a cheaper state or something to that effect. And then you could get some downward pressure that way. There's no doubt that the American consumer is in trouble, I think, when you have that much debt and rising interest rates, and that a lot of that debt is on a variable when it comes to credit cards. If it's costing you $1,000 to go buy a truck these days, and you need that to get, for your job or whatever, that's got to be rough with interest rates that high. I don't see the Fed keeping interest rates this high for much longer. I just don't know how they can get away with it. This chart here kind of shows, it's a little hard to see here, but down at the bottom here, this is their projections of 2023, 24, and 25, where the federal funds rate, they think for 23 it'll be at 5.1, and then it'll go down almost a full percent in 24, and then down even more than that in 25. So I don't think we're going to have the interest rates this high for long. They're already forecasting maybe a cut towards the end of the year if they get inflation under control. So I don't see home prices crashing, because I think you'll get some interest rate relief before we see home prices crash. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'll link to this other video below. It's a good discussion. I'm not bashing it or anything. But I just have a different opinion of how I think the housing market is going to survive the coming recession, if we get one, or whatever financial stress we come under over the next few months. We'll see how that plays out. I say it in almost every video, I'm still looking to buy. I'm still interested in buying, and probably will be making an offer on an investment property this week, doing some number crunching. But I see real estate being the one that holds up this time. Other areas of the economy, I'm not so sure. And maybe it's the last domino to fall, real estate, as other things happen with credit card payments and job losses and car payments and things like that. We'll just have to see how that all plays out. If you want to stay tuned and see how things develop, I'll be obviously making videos about it. Please subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. Have a good day.